Hello and welcome to Divine Horses and Humans. I'm Jason Divine and this is the Naranja playlist. Naranja is 40 years old. So she's very right brain, so she's very quite spooky, quite a bit unpredictable at times, but we've worked pretty hard with her over the years and we've got a lot better. So let's go and catch her. So if you go and watch the other playlists from today, you'll realise what I'm talking about. So in the intros today, there's two of those. I was talking about the human brain. Not very prepared here today. And what has the human brain got to do with horses? Quite a lot. As I've said before, I think horses are very good for well-being and mental health. And one of the things I have horses for is for that reason alone. That's one of the reasons I got into it, and then I became very passionate about them and became very sort of passionate about a certain sport. Right, we'll see if she comes out. Oh, look, she's taken not a blind piece of notice of it, but never mind. I'm not here to upset her. Let me just adjust this a little bit. So, that way, sorry. So, let's back her up a bit. Yeah, well, so if you're suffering from any of those things, that one of the best things I found was to research how your brain works. Now, I've been under counselling, therapy, all of this stuff, and no one ever said anything about me going to learn how my brain works. So if I'm learning how my brain works, and what made me think of doing this was because I wanted to know how a horse's brain worked. So I did a bit of research on that. She's a bit suppler today, not too much. And I said, you'll constantly see me do this, because this is hugely important. If she seems to see how she thinks everything means forward, see? Because she's that kind of horse. She's like what the British equine world call a very forward-going horse. So they would just keep her on contact all the time and think that they had the whole thing under control. That's better. Yeah, so through learning about how the horse's brain works, I thought, oh, I wonder. I'm going to go and work out how my brain works. So I've got Audible, so I listened to a lot of Audible books, and so we talk about, she's getting better, isn't she? Cortisol, serotonin, dopamine, right? So horses produce cortisol. Cortisol is the key element to flight, fight, or freeze, yeah? So cortisol comes out your sweat pores when you produce it. So if you're near horses or dogs and you start getting anxious or scared and you start producing cortisol, they can smell it. So they leave, or dogs will get aggressive, where horses will just leave because they're full of it. And that's why they have to run. They have to run, stop, turn and assess to get off of that adrenaline, that cortisol. Cortisol, where it start running, start producing serotonin, start flattening off, then it's like, we're not going to die. So basically I can stop, look, turn, assess. And that's why I say to you, everything that I do, I want the horse to look at it with two eyes and actually sort of move it forward into it. So they're assessing it, right? Oh, it's all right, we can eat grass. Right, we're producing dopamine. And have you ever been in an incident where you've been so scared, you've run and you've got away from it and you're like, wow, that's amazing, I've got away from that. And then all of a sudden you start yawning. And you're like, where did that come from? I feel really tired, because you've had this flush of cortisol flushing through your body, getting your muscles ready to fight or fight or run, or exactly the same for horses. So if you understand that, that's where you can empathise with a horse, and you can empathise with a horse that they need to move their feet. So what can you learn from that? What you can learn from that is, if you've got mental health, well-being, all of that, anxiety, stress, go and move your feet. Have a little dance, yeah? So have a little jump around, you know, and go to the gym, go out for a walk, do something, don't just sit there. And this is like another thing, like you have to move your feet, and because we want her to get used to, this is the sort of things I do. This is what I do because I want calm horses. I'm not going to be walking around going, I have to come up here and whisper to you because I might upset the horse. And if you raise your voice over this, I'm going to find you $1 or £1, okay? So everything on this yard goes back where it belongs. And you walk around like this. And when you walk around like that and you get sneaky with horses, because that's what it is, it's damn right sneaky, that's when they get really, really spooky. Sneaky people create spooky horses. People that are spontaneous and do stuff like this create calm horses. So anyway, I showed you this in the Pleader playlist. Make sure you go and check out today's content. Make sure you subscribe. Here, the throat, you can see how tight her throat is. Look, it's really tight. And I'll do that, she raises her head, right? That's tension. This is tension. So this is why we want her to lower her head. But she doesn't really, she likes to keep her eyes up. But see how much loose, see if I touch there, right, when that goes, she drives her head down, her neck becomes a lot less tense. So, yesterday on the playlist we were working with the umbrella, and she sort of got it. Here we go. Right, but as I said, she's still pretty high-headed, and this is where you have to be really aware of horses when they're like that. When they're high-headed and they're looking out over there, that's when you really need to be aware that there's something out there that they're worried about. And this comes back to, once again, your brain, their brain, completely different. Yours is a human brain, theirs is an equine brain. Right? We have quite a big frontal lobe that gives us reasoning. Horses have a very small frontal lobe. So we have to teach them reasoning. Though, I said, the flexion, right, the bending, hugely, hugely important. You can do it as much as possible with your horse to make them supple. As I said, it's like us doing yoga, and then there's so much more that goes from that. Rear end disengagement, front end disengagement. There's so much more that goes with all of that to supple them up so they move, so they're not tense and they got straight on in their mind. If you've got horses got straight on in your mind, you're going to struggle to stop him, turn him and everything, because he's just like, I'm out of it, I'm leaving, and I don't care if you're a passenger. So I said, look, you can see how tense she is there, but she finds it really hard to put her head down. And why does she find it really hard? Because Divine and Pleader will both lie down out in the field and she will stand guard. Very rare that you see her lie down. The other two lie down all the time. Very rare that you see her lie down. She'll have a roll and that, but she won't stay on the floor for very long, because she's that sceptical type, like, I'm going to keep an eye out. You know, she's 40 years old and she survived this long doing what she's doing, so I can't blame her for not letting it go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and introduce the ball and see what happens. We're on the wrong side at the moment. So we'll bring it over here. She doesn't seem to be taking any notice. As I said, there's a workman that's just turned up there. And that's where I'm saying, this is where you see, if your horse does that, that's where you want to come back here, pay attention. No, we're not worried about what's over there. You need to be with me. But now I've added something else into the mix, and I said we're halfway through the doorway here, and that's very hard for a horse. And I said, that's pressure. And that's where I've seen, and I have been a victim of it. I've gone and worked on yards and been told, oh yeah, the horses are fine and that, and they want you to lead them in from the front, so you walk through the door like that with the horse behind you, and the horse rushes through, and it knocks you over, crush you, because they can't handle this pressure of a doorway. And that is trailer loading. That is so many things. So let's see what we've got here. She doesn't seem that bothered, does she? But she's going back. She's pulling back, and then she stepped into it. So I stop. Put it back. Talk to you. I don't know if you saw that. I may have been in the way, so I'm going to go to the right now and do it. So she stepped into it. So we just start small and then take it away and ramp it up a bit. So she's on the move now. So what's she going to do? She's more interested in the lorry backing down the way. So I'm going to put that way and I'm going to use it, because this is learning here, because she's more interested in that lorry backing up than she is of taking any notice of that ball. So that I could use this, so I'm going to let her come in and out, same as I did with Divine, so she can see it from both eyes. She's not actually taking a lot of notice of it, to be honest, so I'm going to move it in a bit. Push the pressure, turn the pressure up, push the pressure in, get it tighter, and then turn her. But she doesn't seem to be taking a blind bit of notice of it, does she? So she's obviously accepted it. So let's just try this. Let's offer it. See what happens. She's moving, she's moving, she's moving, she stopped. So I take it away. I know you couldn't see that, you're going to have to take my word for it. And that's the trick to all of it. Is actually, when they stop, is when the learning's done. And if you can get them to step into it, even better. So let's put it there to make it a little bit tighter and see what we get now. So the gap is tighter and she stood there. And that's hugely hard for a horse to deal with. Hugely hard. So let's push her back through. Like I said, let's push it a little bit tighter. Okay, so lead her out, and I said she's following a feel, but she's quite confident to go through that little tight gap. Turn her, come on, come on, come on. So, and as I said, and every time I do this, she's getting more flexible. She's turning every time when she goes in the stable the same way she's turning out here, but she's still doing it, isn't she? I bet you couldn't get Divine to do this. And I said, so what I'll do is, let's see what happens if I create a gap. A barricade, a stop. Let's see what happens. Right, I'm going to let her step into it one more. Because she's actually trying to find a way through there, and she's not going to get through there. That's only like 14 inches wide, but I'm going to sort of leave it at that because I've got more than what I had, and she's dealt with that really, really well. And I said, and that's what you would call a high pressure game. The pressure came in more and more and more and more. And that's what you need to teach horses to deal with. Such a simple thing, but this is not a how-to-do video. So at that, subscribe, hit the notification bell down there so you get notified when we upload. Like, comment, be respectful, because I'm looking for a like-minded, empathetic community that is looking for something different, because we are different. because I'm coming at things differently, because there's so much more to horses than just ride. I'm in England on the borders of Surrey, Sussex, Kent and Berkshire. So that one, go and check out the previous episodes from today and the previous stuff from that. Have a bit of a look around. Make sure you subscribe. Really appreciate you popping in. And what I'll do is I'll catch you in the next episode, and you should know it by now, that's on the flip side. Fucking hell, mate, you're amazing.